Good afternoon, everyone. For general evaluation, the general evaluator is supposed to touch on the general things, which is almost every single thing. From way before the meeting starts until now, until I give the report. But today is a very special meeting because we have this meeting dedicated for the first-timer evaluators, for them to try out evaluations. So I'm not going to touch on everything. I'm going to touch on speakers and evaluators only. Okay, for speakers, I have to say it's very well done. It's a very diverse topic, and each of the topics is all actually very special and unique in its own ways. Okay, let me just touch a little bit on each speaker. Karina, your speech was very informative with the chocolate and coffee comparison and how chocolate can benefit us. Yeah, she mentioned you also. You should watch the video, okay? So, yeah, just one small suggestion is that you have your slides here. Maybe you can have the statistics on the slides as well, because some of the numbers are very hard to catch with just your ears. Okay, so you might want to consider that. Praveen, very great story about a famous person, and it's some values that we should learn. What I can suggest to you is that because your voice is naturally very deep, so it might be a bit hard to catch what you're saying at the back. So what you can do is, I know I suck at this also, vocal variety. Yeah, you should improve on that, and I should improve on that as well, definitely, because I suck at that as well. Okay, Kevin, different meanings of colors. I really love that because some of it is actually very useful in interviews. How you dress yourself, what color you dress is actually very useful in interviews as well. And you walk the talk. You said red color boosts confidence and you wear red color. That's very good. I would suggest that, for my suggestion for you is to pace it a little bit slower, because some of the points is a bit too fast for me to catch. Okay, or maybe that my English is not very well, so that, but still slower down a little bit, so it's easier for every one of them to catch. And you went overtime, is it? No, right? Oh, okay. Anyway, it's a bit, your elaboration was a bit brief, so maybe you can cut down on the colors that you are going to talk, and then you go more in depth into that specific color. So maybe you can have just 3 colors, then you go in depth into it, instead of having like 5 or 6 colors. Zihao, a very good topic, silence, because silence is a non-verbal communication also. You interacted with your audience very well. I know that you only changed your speech this morning, so there wasn't a lot of preparation there. So I would suggest that try not to change it very last minute, or you can work on your impromptu speech, so you can benefit from that also. Shana, a topic really close to your heart, very sincere. I can feel the emotions, and I bet everyone in the audience can feel it too. Suggestions is that you forgot your slides. Yeah, it's just the slides. I think Sean touched on that already. Yeah, just rehearse a little bit together with the slides, together with everything you are going to use, and just rehearse it with you so that you don't feel very awkward speaking and then changing slides and everything. And after you end your speech, oh, I have this slide. Yeah, so just take note on that. Serene, I don't actually dare to comment very much on your speech. I'm not very good with this stuff, so I'm not going to comment too much. If you want to know, talk to me privately later. Yu Jinghui, personal story, very good. It meets the objective of P1. And suggestions for you, Serene touched on that also. Slightly lack a bit of structure, and then your body language. Because you are really, just your weight was on one side of it. So it looks a bit uncomfortable and a bit not confident. So you just try to balance your weight. Balance your weight, have a normal stance, very relaxed stance. You can put your hands at the side. If you feel it's very awkward, very weird to do this, you can put it here. But just put it here, don't rub it or anything. Just put it here, we'll do stroking. But when Serene did it, it's like a skin production. Kind of a very interesting opening. You started with Japanese, and your whole speech was about Japan, how you like Japanese, how you like Japan. That is a very good opening there, and very interesting, capture everyone's attention. Now, a big suggestion for you is that I noticed a big part of your speech doesn't have slides. So it's like the first slide, I like Japanese. Then you go on and on and on and on. After 3/4 of your speech is over already, then you have slides for the food, for the girls, then you have some pictures and here. So it seems like the slides are a bit disconnected from your speech. So it's like, I have a slide at the beginning, then nothing, and I have a slide at the end again. So I would suggest that if you could have slides consistently throughout the speech, that would be good. For example, you give your first slide, I like Japanese, then you go on to talk about the language. You can show the few words, Japanese words here, then maybe some examples again, then you go on to the food, the girls, everything. Okay? Nilavi. Sorry if I pronounced that wrongly. I love Husky too. Your personal stories about lives in Singapore, very good. And I'm sorry I was running around that time, so I couldn't catch a lot of it. I will watch the video again, then I will give my suggestions based on that. Chinpo, a very interesting concept. You are playing the music and while giving a speech, very interesting concept. We have never seen that before. But suggestions for you is that the music is a bit too loud. So you might want to soften it a little bit so we can hear your voice very clearly. Another suggestion is that maybe you can choose a music that goes well with your pace of your speech. So it's like the music is a bit very happy, ding 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 ding, but then your speech it doesn't match the rhythm. So if you want to try this again, you can find a music that matches your rhythm. Okay? Course. A very good impromptu speech. Great lessons to learn from your personal stories. I find that the speech title is a bit off. It was really very random, and you are really pacing too much around. So maybe you can just come here, stand a little bit, stand a while, few seconds, then you walk again, then you stand again. So instead of just going on and on and on, like this. So to some people, it's a bit of a distraction there. And lastly, Nikki, a very thought-provoking topic, but it's a P9 persuasion, so I find that maybe your conclusion can have a little bit more of a call of action. So really persuade people to think again about volunteerism. Okay? Well done to all the speakers. Give them a round of applause. Now for the evaluators. Some of you are first-timers, some of you are more experienced than me. So I'll just comment on what I have. James? No, actually, all of you touched on really, really good aspects of the speech. You touch on different aspects of it. Then you don't just say you are good in this, you are good in this. You actually give explanations, give elaborations, and that is very well done. James, you touch on different aspects of the presentation itself. I would say that for you is to, maybe you can give more specific recommendations. Like how do you improve eye contact? What I personally like to use is that choose one person from this side, choose one person from this side, and choose one person from this side. And as a start, you just look at this 3 person will do. So this is more specific recommendations. So you look at this person, you look at this person, you look at this person. So after that, once you're comfortable with that, you slowly increase the number of it. You look at 2 from here, 2, 2, then you 3, 3, 3. So it lets people know how to have a step-by-step improvement. Okay? Lucy, she's not here. I'll just say it anyway. Really good touch on the relevant aspect. You want me to go on?
Maybe just talk about the first timers.
Okay, first timers. Vikia, you're not first timer, but this is the first time I've seen you doing evaluations. You touch on good at the relevant aspects, you give explanations, you give recommendations. And for your recommendation that you gave, you touched on the pauses. So maybe you give an example of Barack Obama giving the speech and then that pause there. But it doesn't really explain much about how that pause actually helped. So maybe you can explain a little bit on how that pause actually helped us, and then give that example so we can understand the pauses more. Praveen, really great evaluation. Really love it. You used magic as a medium to connect the speech and your evaluation. To evaluate that, that is very well done. Okay, so anyway, the others is quite normal. So these are a bit of recommendations that I can give to all evaluators. So when you evaluate, you give your points, and then you explain how that point helped them in the speech. So you elaborate a bit more. For example, eye contact. What do eye contact do? So explain what eye contact do. Eye contact relates you, let you connect with your audience. Let you have the connection that it interacts with the audience. And then you go on to give examples from the speech. So for example, in this part of your speech, you give a really good eye contact. You give it this one. So it's specific. It's very specific that the speakers know where they have done well. Then the recommendations part. You can give recommendations, and then you explain what does the recommendation help, how it helps you. So if movement, how does movement help you? Interact with different sections of the audience. So you move here, you interact with this part of the audience. And then you give specific examples, how to move with your purpose. I come here, I say about a point, and I interact with this part of the audience. Then I move here, I say another point, and this I want to interact with this part of the audience. So this is something that every evaluators can look for, and I don't have much time anymore. Okay, so thank you.